Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy J Rocks. Today I'm hitting you with another episode of that vlog live. You know what's up with that. So today I'm working kind of on Shadow Man hardcover review. So that should be up anytime soon. Probably be up before this video. I'm working on editing it right now and so forth. It's a pretty good book. It's a hardcover, volume 2. A lot of people, it's gotten mixed reviews. You know, it's controversial, and as far as is it good, is it not good. I always feel those types of books or stories or whatever make for a better conversation. It's always fun to talk about, kind of like Rob Liefeld. A lot of people love him, a lot of people hate him, a lot of people love his art, a lot of people hate it. When it's controversial, it always becomes popular because there's always something to talk about. All right, so let's see how the progress is going on all that. Recording uploading one of the videos right here. This is the program I use. It's, what is it, Vegas Pro or Windows Pro? I don't know, I gotta get the box to check again, but it's a Sony program. It's basic, it's not nothing too fancy. Once you get to learn to use it, it took me about the whole day, like maybe 3 hours. I was messing with it a little. I enjoy it for what it is. It was like 20 bucks for that price. You're not gonna get much better editing programs. They'll be run you a little more expensive. Yeah, so this is what I'm uploading right now. By the time this video's up, this will already have been up. So this will be up like, you know, a week or two before. I'm stoked for that one. I want to see how it does, because I want to try to do videos where people can be more engaged and maybe comment more, and you know what I mean, like make the videos more engaging, and you know, try something a little different, and we'll see how it does. I honestly enjoy doing it a lot more, but it could be because it was something new and fresh. Maybe once I do a few of them, I might not enjoy it as much. Well, let's see what we got to drink. Oh, cool. We got some beer up in here. My homeboy left this shit over here. Some Bud Ice. Yeah, I haven't drank 32 ounces in a minute. This shit, I mean, they went out with the high school days. I'll be drinking them tall cans and regular cans, but it's the only beer up in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and drink it. Bud Ice, I don't even drink Bud Ice either, or 32s, but yeah, let's risk it. Oh, I've been on the hunt for some back issues and so forth. You know, those are being single issue comic books, but the older ones from like 90s, 2000s, older stuff, not new releases. So I've been hunting down back issues to try to turn them into hardcovers like these. Like, just give you an example. For those of you not familiar with them, this is a new way they make comics. They put them on into one big hardcover like that. So there's a lot of Marvel, DC, they do all that, but there's also a lot of material from old publishing companies that don't exist anymore, and they'll never be turned into this because they're no longer around. They've been defunct. And so I've been looking for a lot of those old back issues I read as a kid, and I've been wanting to make them into a hardcover myself, take them to a company where you pay, they get all that done for you. So I've been hunting them down, and I got a few that I wasn't aware of because of collecting some series, and it turns out they have like crossover and tie-in events, much like Marvel and DC do. So let me show off some of those, and after I do that, we'll get to the reading progress. I'm still reading that Gambit Trial, read a couple more issues, and we'll get to that at the end. Alright, so for those of you familiar, if you were around back in the 90s, there was this comic book series called Gen 13. If you know who Megan Fox is, which with those Transformer movies, I'm pretty sure we all do. She was a big fan of those comics, Gen 13. That's one thing I like about her. I'm not a big fan of hers as an actress. I don't think she's the greatest. But I do like that she's legit comic geek. Like, she liked comics before it was a thing, you know what I'm saying? She was big into Gen 13, into Fathom, Ninja Turtles. You know, there was comics she liked, and she was pushing for a Gen 13 movie back in the days. She wanted to be that character Rain. I think her name is Rain. I can't believe I even forgot the names because I used to really like those comics. But anyways, I wanted to buy them again, and I haven't read them again since I was like 12, since back when they first came out. But I have been buying them. And I noticed that in issue 9, there's some type of event going on called Fire from Heaven. So it says part 9. And I was like, oh, so I would need the other 8 or else I'm going to be lost in the story. So this is chapter 1. So I bought them all. It's the cover. Have not read this event. I'm digging the cover though, it's pretty dope. Like, if you guys are familiar with this, if you've read it back in the days, let me know what you thought. Like the cover, like the art, it looks cool. Ooh, Wizard magazine. Remember these authenticity things? Issue 2. Prelude. Okay, these are Prelude 1. This issue sort of The Mockles, I believe, by Warren Ellis. He's hit and miss with me, but if you're familiar with comics, it's a big name. He's, I think, British, I believe. Don't quote me on it. Another cool cover, but I have read his. I've been reading his Stormwatch, and it's pretty good. If you're gonna read something you don't like superhero comics, that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't like comics. Cause there's a lot of comics that are not superhero related. A lot of stuff out there for everybody. They're becoming like novels and so forth, but with pictures. There's Warren Ellis writes Transmetropolitan. I suggest you people check that out if you're not into superheroes. It's a great book, great story. I think it's like 3. Well, just check it out. Read it digitally or whatever. Prelude number 2, Fire from Heaven. This crossover into Sigma issue 1. It's a different writer, different artist. In events like this, this is not where you want to start unless you buy the trade when you're buying comics, because it can be confusing. See, this is Sigma. Then the next issue will continue on a whole different series, Deathblow, but you will follow this up here. Prelude 3. They do a good job of when you get to the last page, it tells you finished this story on so and so title and so issue. So that way you will have an idea. This is Deathblow issue 28. That's how I found out. Or you could Google it nowadays. We got computers, internet. Okay, this Deathblow. There's a cover. This is the fakest cover out of the bunch I've showed so far. These other covers were a little better in my opinion. I'm not gonna show all of them. Digging this cover too. I'm not gonna show the whole thing. I'm gonna do a separate video for that. Maybe a live stream so I could talk to everybody as I'm showing the books. Well, you got an idea of what this is. Gen 13. Gen 13 is a good series, but it's how can I tell you? It's of the time. Like, if you read it right now, it'll be dated. But if you grew up with it, you'll have fun with it. Or if you grew up in that era, you might get something out of it still. Because to me, when you read it, it's about teenagers. So teenagers are all about what's the fad, what's in style that year. So when you read it now, if you were a teenager at that time, like I was just getting into my teen years. I was 12, grew up with it till I was like 15, 16. I grew out of comics. Like around 14, 15, I grew out of comics. You get into sports and other stuff. So anyways, when you read it, if you're from that era, you'll trip out on stuff like they'll come out with pagers and Mortal Kombat that was big at that time. 8 balls, like back in the early 90s. 8 balls, I don't know why they were so popular. Everybody had them on their beanies, on their belts. People were stealing from the pool halls, the arcade scene. They had pools there. They'll take the 8 ball. There was a thing that the magic 8 ball was a big thing too. It was a big thing. There was these things called pogs. If you're around my age, you're around 35, you feel me. You know what I'm talking about. There was these things called pogs. They're like quarters. You hit them, and if it flips over to the picture, you keep it. So anyways, they had 8 balls on them too. But yeah, they'll show stuff like that on the Gen 13 stuff. It's a lot of nostalgic feeling for me. Not necessarily the books themselves, but the stuff going on in the books, the things they reference. Like, they still had those big cell phones, those bricks. They were new. So it does stuff like that. I'll do a video showing off those books. I've been buying a few of them and showing the rest of these. If you guys care to watch that, stay tuned for that. Once I have it up, I'll put it at the end of this video. I'll put it on the screen so you can click on it and watch that haul if you choose to. Alright, so here, this is issue 342 on March of 1997. This, like I said on the previous video, it's written by Scott Lobdell, Joe Mad, aka in the last issue where they bumped into Gladiator, they defeat him and so forth. Now here, he's telling them, I need your help and this and that. They're like, well, this is a hell of a way to ask for our help. You come over here starting a fight with one of our younger recruits. Know what I'm saying? It's like, that's just all bad. Like, that's just how much of an idiot this character Gladiator is. So he's begging them for help. He goes, they're destroying my people, the Share Empire. So the X-Men are like, we'll help. What do you want us to do? He teleports them to space, like light years away or whatever, right? There's not necessarily in the future, but it's just so far away. And to a spaceship, he teleports them much like they do in Star Trek. Once he teleports them, they're like, where are we? They find a bunch of Share Empire soldiers and members. of that civilization, just dead, slaughtered. They're like, wow, there's just bodies everywhere, right? And they're tripping out, like, what the hell? Is there even anybody alive? Deathbird, she's a Shadow Empire member, a big name in the X-Men mythos. If you follow them, she's a somebody like she comes around every once in a while. She's one of the greatest warriors, kind of like an enforcer for their kingdom or government, if you will. They find her alive. They help her up. They ask her what happened. What's the dealio? You know. Okay, while all this is going down, Cannonball is back with the rest of the X-Men on Earth. And he's telling them about everything that just went down. Like, he's like, look, I was at the mall, peeped this out, and shit hit the fan. Gladiator popped out of nowhere. We started scrapping, so and so. He's telling them everything that just happened, basically. And he's like, and they teleported them. They're missing. I don't even know where they went. So Wolverine, Storm, and the rest of the X-Men are like, oh, we gotta find them. What the hell's going on? So that's where we're at back on Earth. Now, back in space, where the main story is at, they're on the spaceship talking to Deathbird. And they're gonna go. Deathbird's telling them, there's this group that's slaughtering all my people. And while she's telling them the whole get down, what's his face? Bishop is like in another room, very conflicted, very quiet. Rogue goes up to him, have a little heart to heart. You know what I'm saying? She's like, "What's wrong, Bishop? You're acting funky." And he's like, "You know what? Like, he's from the future. This character Bishop's from the future. He came back to the past, so he knows a lot of stuff that's already gonna happen. A lot of people he doesn't trust, because he knows what they will do in the future. They'll either snitch, they'll give up information that will to the humans that will be terrible for mutants, or they'll betray mutants and ride with the humans. Like, he knows all this stuff, and he could change it, but at the same time he doesn't trust them because he knows that they are capable. This is what is eventually gonna happen. He's like, the only reason I believe in the X-Men is because in the future, Professor Xavier is like a hero. He's big time, you know. He's a somebody that his name lived on after he died and so forth. And the previous story arc, he disappeared. We don't know what happened. We'll get to that book later. So yeah, something happened in the previous story arc, and he's no longer around. So he's like, now that Professor X is in here, who's the only one that had like any clout with me, the only one I even trust you guys is because of him, because he was the only one that was good in the future. The rest of you have all been tainted. You know what I mean? So he's like, I don't know what, I'm conflicted. I don't know what path to take. Do I even want to be an X-Men anymore if he's not around? So he's having this talk with Rogue and so forth. It's a nice little character growth moment, so you get to know a little bit about him. He knows too much about everybody and their futures. And once in a lifetime, you know, everybody does some bad, they do some dirt sooner or later. Okay, so that's the gist. That's about all that goes on in issue 342. Now, issue 343, this is on April of 1997. Same creative team, same story still. So now that we're on issue 343, things get a little more interesting, because everybody's searching for the killers, right? They split up into teams. Magneto and Gambit go on the same team. Now, Magneto and Gambit, they put them on the same team for a reason, because they both have like a secret past. Magneto, for such a long time, he was an X-Men villain, and here he's a good guy. So they're like, can we trust him after all we've seen it? And if you as a reader, if you follow the stories, you're like, can we even trust this guy? He's always been so bad. So they're putting Gambit with him, because they want you to see Gambit how you see Magneto, because Gambit all of a sudden has a secret past, and they want you to feel, the writers want you to feel the same about Gambit as you do about Magneto. Except with Magneto, we saw these stories as we read them as they happened, how he's done a lot of terrible stuff. With Gambit, we have not seen any of this, but all of a sudden they're gonna reveal his past and all his past life and stories, stuff he's done in his life. So they're trying to tell you he's somewhat like Magneto. I thought this was pretty smart. This was pretty smart that they teamed them up together, and they kind of like to get you that feel, like you see how we see Magneto, so see Gambit how you see him. That was kind of interesting. This you'll get if you read the books. If you don't, if you're not too familiar with them, it's something you're not gonna feel that, because you haven't been attached to these characters yet. So you don't know, you don't know the dealio, like what they're all about and so forth. So that was like an interesting little thing that they did there. I like what they did with that. And then this issue actually is a lot better. The other one, not much happened. This one, you find out who the villains are finally. They're revealed. Because you have Gambit and Magneto. They're coming to help Bishop and Rogue. Bishop and Deathbird. he's talking to Deathbird, you know, I don't really trust you, but I'm trying to. We're trying to help your people. While they're talking, Magneto and Gambit show up. They're like, oh, well, you guys need help, this and that. And Deathbird, letting them have it. And Bishop's like, what the fuck? Like, you're shooting my friends. Like, what's going on here? And it's revealed they're like shapeshifters. And then he's like, oh, you saved my life, actually. These shapeshifters, they're the Phalanx coming in. They can turn into people, look like regular people or mutants or whatever. They're a techno-organism, kind of like something that a character Cable has been infected with as well. So they take over planets and bodies and so forth. So they're taking over the Share Empire right now, as you see happening. Now I've been introduced to them before. They're new at this time. Back in '97, they were a newer villain, a newer role. They weren't around long. They were barely still babies in the universe, right? So this is barely like the second story arc I seen them in. And here they look a lot different. It's explained later. They have some type of shield covering, so they have a different look. They look more like metal robots instead of yellow microchips or whatever. So we reveal, like, if you're just reading this story, it's still entertaining because you reveal the villain finally. And if you read these books before, you read the previous arcs, it's like, oh shit, like it's these guys again. And they gave the X-Men a hard time the first time they invaded Earth. Now they're invading space. They're invading the Share Empire. This issue ends on an interesting note. They find another one of the younger members, Jubilee. She's one of the teenagers, much like Cannonball. She's been captured by the Phalanx. Now, we don't know what happened. You will have to read another book. So that's the thing about comics, with superhero comics at least. They're constantly tying into other titles, so you're getting some of the, like, this character, we don't know how she got there, but she's there. But she's not that important to the story, like she doesn't affect the story, the stuff she does. But if you do want to know how they got her, you would read this other title. It's not mandatory. You still could enjoy the story without that. What I do like is that these books do this. They explain to you they caught her, and then it puts that. That circle means if you want to know where they caught her or how, they put that circle, then it will reference it down here. It says read this issue, Generation X, issue 25. And they do that all the time. Whenever it's something that you don't know what happened and you want to find out how they got to that point, they always put those little circles, and then in the bottom it'll guide you, which Marvel does a very good job at that. Some comics don't. So it ends on an interesting note. We found out who the villains are, and we found out they caught a few of these X-Men, some of the younger X-Men, and it ends there. It's like, oh shit, like they're catching our future soldiers, if you will, because the Phalanx decides if we kill off the future, we target the younger and experienced ones. Since the older ones are harder to kill, we target the future soldiers before they turn into soldiers. They have no future after their generation. Their squad will be through, you know. So it's a very much gang war mentality type thing going on here. And it ends very interesting right there. We'll get to the next issue next time. This is the Phalanx right here. As you can tell, this is how they look now with this protective armor or coating. But they look much different when they don't have that on. Okay, so I guess that's all for you for right now. Check me out. You already know what's up on Twitter, on Instagram, on Goodreads. Goodreads is one of my favorite ones. Follow me on Goodreads. I'll drop the links in the description down below. And if you want to just search for me when you're on one of those social medias, I'm going to put the icons right here on the screen. I'm going to type it exactly how it is. Just search for me that way. And I'll just check you guys out next time.